with Julian. Good morning, demonetized. Between your index finger and thumb? What do you mean, you're pressing too much or something? Yeah, that sounds not great. Try to relax. Hey Rhett, thanks man. One question I haven't seen of the online teacher address is what is the benefit of alternate picking over economy? Yes, definitely. Because if you want to do like strict economy picking, you need to map out the number of notes per string. So whenever you go from a thick string to a low string, thin string to a thick string, meaning you go from string to string, it needs to be an odd number, right? If you keep going in the same direction. If you want to turn around, you need to make that into an even number. So it's kind of involved in that regard. But you also get a feel for that after a while. So it might look like, how am I ever going to be able to improvise with this stuff? You still can do that, because just look at Frank and Bali and Marshall Harrison and guys like that, they can do that. But there's definitely string skipping, for example. You can't do that with sweep picking, right? Because you might argue you can sweep through this, but to me, you will still hear that. So I wouldn't, you definitely need alternate picking for that. And also for a lot of the two per string stuff, pentatonic, then if you keep it to the 2 note per string, you're going to have to keep the alternate picking. I mean, you can get in some economy picking in there as well, but I think it's going to be mostly alternate picking. It's going to be smoother to do that. But then again, you have things like 3-1-3 patterns, where you have 3 notes, 1-3-1-3, where you can play way better with economy picking than trying to alternate pick. That will be tricky. It's still good to work on, but I think alternate picking is definitely something everyone should be comfortable with, even though they might not be, the fastest in the world with it, but because it's so much more rhythmically consistent, right? And even Frank and Bali talks about, work on alternate picking as well, because you can't sweep on one string. So if you're reliant on everything, in a sweeping fashion, it's going to be really hard to get things together on one string. So I definitely think you should use both. For the record, I mixed the alternate economy. I think it sounds good. So I can get my name right too. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's I prefer when I can hear, or the other way around. I prefer when I can't hear the technique someone is using. So, for example, when I listen to Guthrie Govan, it's really hard to pinpoint at any specific point in time whether he's using sweep picking or economy picking or alternate picking, legato and whatever. I mean, legato you will hear, but it's it's nice to just hear the notes and not worry so much about oh, he's sweeping, oh, he's tapping, oh, he's doing this, It's kind of why I like a lot of Alan Holsworth stuff, because it's just notes, you don't really think that much about the technique behind it. It's more about the note choice. Whereas something I can feel when I listen to old school Paul Gilbert, it's oh, that's a really cool alternate pick prompt. But I love it all, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, well, that makes sense. But I think if you want to do certain sequences, like if you want to do this classic repeating sixes, that it's not going to help you to do economy picking, because you can do that on one string set and then you're stuck. So if I start here, for example, and I go down, up, down, down, and then since I need to repeat this, now I'm screwed, because now I'm ending on a down upstroke. And so basically, what this gets into, when you combine alternate picking and and economy picking, you get directional picking. And what that means is that whenever you go from a low string, in pitch that is, it will always be a downstroke. Because if I go start like this, down, up, down, now I get that sweep motion. But if I start with an upstroke, up, down, up, the A string is still down, no matter what pick stroke I'm starting on, right? And the same thing goes when I go from an, if I go from A to E. Best case scenario there for like efficiency would be to go up, down, up, up. But if I'm coming from here with a downstroke, down, up, down, still an upstroke. So that's the name of the, that's why they call it directional picking. And I think that's a really good technique, but again, that doesn't really solve the string skipping conundrum. So I still feel you need alternate picking to play stuff like that. Is it a timing thing? I can see that maybe it's smoother alternate when you're playing fast. Well, it is, but also that timing thing is, you can work on that and get over it if you work on it a lot. I mean, listen to Spyro Dusias. He mutes everything and everything is super in time. So I think it's, you know, and Gambale as well. He doesn't mute anything, but he still plays, you know, very much in time when he plays it. You know, he shows scales and stuff. It's very, very, very good with timing. But there is you know, one thing that's kind of hard to do if you do. Try to keep that as a 16th note. It's easy to get it like that instead. Instead of trying to get that 1, 2, 3, 4 type thing. It's easy to get this. But that's, you know, a matter of practice as well. I like to do that kind of thing with economy picking, but it can also be alternate pick. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. And I've had periods where I've been like, no, I'm gonna alternate pick everything, and then I sit there like angry with myself trying to alternate pick things that I can easily sweep. Or then I'm going the other direction, like, yeah, I'm only gonna economy pick now. And then I find myself like, oh shit, I can't do the, you know, string skipping or whatever. So now I try to think more like, what's the sound that I want? So it's mainly, you know, legato sound, or you want more of a picked sound but not super staccato, and maybe a more staccato sound. So that can be achieved with different techniques. So instead of thinking too much about the actual technique, try to think of the sound you want instead. I mean, that thing, there's no way I will be able to alternate pick that, right? So, and I say no way. I'm sure if I worked my ass off and just practiced that a million times, I would be able to do it. But at what cost? What other things could have spent time on instead? So. guitar was really high. Thanks, man. By the way, have you signed up for the practice room? Ask everyone that I talk to here, because that's where easiest way to find me. So I'm in there every day, answering questions and stuff. It's really humid here, so that's why it keeps drifting. So hold on 1 second. Well, they won't go anywhere, so the challenges, I mean, so there's no stress like, oh, you have to do them as they're going on. They're basically just there to help you do some stuff you might have not done otherwise. So I know some guys are in there and still work on the first challenge, so. This morning I sat down some coffee and I found a live clip of Matteo Mancuso and he played this. Very cool, open voiced arpeggios. Okay, I can't see my message in the chat, but it looks like I'm getting them. I tried to buy a course, but there were issues with my PayPal accepting. Or if you heard of any issues like that. Where do you try to buy that? Is that on Gumroad then? So I think Teachable, they don't accept PayPal. What do you mean in school? Hey Ryan. Hey Cornelius. Richard Rosendal. Oh, that's great to hear. So I'm gonna translate. Thank you so much for the help with my synchronization. I've followed the advice and I'm moving ahead. Thank you so much. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so thank you, Richard. It's great to hear. Rat, I believe was through school. Yeah, school. I think they're going to. Not fair. I know they're going to. They're working on Apple Pay and all kinds of stuff. So basically, more ways to pay than just a credit card, which is great. Because I don't think they accept PayPal as it is right now. Orion, I've been doing the alternate picking deep dive. Love how it's also giving me better visualization of the fretboard. Yeah, great. Well, that's, you know, it helps everything like that in the way that we do it. And what Orion talks about now is the thing on screen with the clean up your picking thing. So that's actually from the Practice Room Pro, but I put one lesson in there, or actually the alternate picking deep dive. Put that into the free Practice Room as well, so you can check it out. Thanks, Red. Well, hybrid picking I highly suggest that you work on. Helps a lot. Hey Chad, hey, looks like you had a pretty solid pick attack. Is that across the board just because of what you're working on now? For me, do you mean as in pick hard, or I think I think I try to. I don't know if you can hear this, but I'm not doing that kind of stuff, right? So. Because I find that, especially with an amp, I mean, this is the neural DSP thing. If you pick too hard, you're just gonna get a lot of noise and sort of kill the strings. I don't like that sound, so you need to find a good trade-off there. So you get a good sound. I do pick harder when I'm doing the phrasing, so to speak, when it's not the fast stuff. But that's just makes sense, right? Because sitting like that, it's not going to help. But equally, when you're playing stuff like you don't want to do that with like an efficient. So I had some people like, well, you probably, when you play slowly, you slower your movements. Like, yeah, it's yes, it's a different purpose. But you know, when I hear people play any type of phrasing stuff and they sound like this, I kind of want to slap them around. Like, wake up! What are you doing? You need to have some dynamics to it. So, but when you play faster, you don't. If you pick too hard, it's not going to sound very good. So I think that's a big part of it. So if I try doing, let's see, if I play this. It was Paul Gilbert who said that. He used to practice without an amp a lot and would be like mute and you know, pick really hard, but then when he got to the rehearsal space and did that, it sounded like crap. So he had to learn to lighten up on the picking when he was playing the amp. And also, if you, well, he was a big influence on me for sure. So that might be the thing. But I think he's way more back like this and has the pinky like anchored. I'm a bit further ahead, so I don't think we're completely the same. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, so if you think about Yngwie, right? He uses eighths here for the high E string at least, and then it tunes down a half step. So his string is, you know, basically hanging off the guitar fretboard. So and he's a big guy as well. So if he would be picking hard, it would sound, he would probably just break the string. And he, not nowadays, but he used to have a really good, you know, pick attack and sounded great. You know, especially when before he went into the rack stuff, and that's when I realized, like, oh shit, he doesn't pick that hard. Just sounds like he picks hard. So it's a lot about letting the amp do the work as well. Hey, Jake. I have not, but also like I have tens, and if I tune it down to E flat, I can definitely feel it. So I can only imagine what eights at E flat must feel like. That also kind of killed the myth for me that you need thick strings to have a thick sound. You know, the whole Stevie Ray Vaughan type of 13s and all that stuff. And I think Yngwie is right when he said, like, no, the tone of the guitar is really how high your action is. And since he has scalloped fretboard and really big frets, and has a super high action as well, then I think that's why you get kind of a big tone even on light strings. I would definitely have to lighten up on the pick though if I would play 9s or 8s. So I'm used to tens. Yeah, true, but that would still sound like absolute crap if if you had like super low action and eights at, you know, down to E flat. We'll just amplify the crap. So. Also, I wonder how many of those are actually plugged in. But you know, more is more. Well, I would probably play nines if I did it all over again, because I think I had a friend at GIT who was like very much into the strings and all that stuff, and this was before the internet, pretty much. Well, actually, I went online before I went to GIT, but that was like you had to sit there and actually put in like the the actual what's it called, the IP address. It's crazy. Hello, Grandpa. Anyway, so my point is that he was really into this stuff, and you know, tested a bunch of things, and he was like, yeah, nines sound better because with distortion, because it sort of glues together better than tens or 13s. And I had heard like, no, you should have really thick strings, and I almost felt like a wimp for only playing tens, you know. But I do think, like, I've tried. I have an acoustic guitar, and if I put that in here through the amp, it gets this weird feeling of like you have the guitar strings here, and then you just have the distortion on top. Whereas here, the distortion and the strings are it's one sound. It doesn't sound like it's sort of floating on top. I think that's what he meant with, you know, having thinner strings. That it's whatever reason, I have no idea why, and even if it's true, but that sort of sounds better with thinner strings. I think Rick Beato did a blind test like 3 years ago or something, where they played the same amp, same guitar, and played the same riff, and they did it with I think 11, 10, 9s, and 8s, and then they had a blind test where they just listened to it. And I think the 8s won, basically. It's also nice to use tens and you feel like you are stronger after practice. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that Tom Quayle plays tens. But also I've heard Tom Quayle on like an acoustic guitar, and he sounds just as, you know, his legato sounds amazing anyway, so. I don't know if you build more calluses, but I mean, once you have them, so. Yeah, that's the thing. When I tried, I think it was at Ola's, he had some guitar with, you know, I think it was in D standard, and it was 9s, and I was like picking the shit out of that thing, and it was like, yeah, So I had to really make a conscious effort to like barely touch the string compared to how I do it normally. At the end of the day, I just think, you know, whatever you're used to, and that's probably what's gonna work best for you anyway. But, you know, you're not gonna sound like Stevie Ray just because you have 13s, and you're not gonna sound like Yngwie just because you have 8s, you know? So... yeah, those strings are really, they really dig in, don't they, Pantera? I don't actually. Maybe I should, but I always felt like I want to build my sync more so than do that stuff. But if I had to, depends. If the goal is just to get it faster, we'll just probably work on, as we do here, do 2 notes as fast as I can, then 3, 4, you build it up like that. Oops. If I use a signature pick, also if you look at like Van Halen when he did something weird like that when he did you know, he wouldn't do the normal picking, would do some really, yeah. So I think a lot of ways can work. And also there's 2 type of tremolos. You know, you have just a tremolo where you just try to go as fast and smooth as you can. But then you have a measured tremolo where it's supposed to line up with, you know, the timing we're doing. Yeah. So, and that I would probably work more on that instead, because then you have like, you can work on 16th notes, then you do 5, I believe. Yeah. And then you can do 6. And then 7, 8, and so on. So you're kind of working more on your timing as well. And you don't need to move, you can just go. It's a good thing to work on though. Yeah, I mean, you still want to get if you practice it slowly, you can absolutely apply, and the planting absolutely. And planting sounds like crap when you do it without with an amp on, because you get all these chirps and shit. So if I do it like this instead. Should even do it slower so I can go. Just to try to find like the smallest motion, but equally, I mean, it's kind of a lot about listening as well. So, you know, just because you're playing a lot of notes, you shouldn't just go. You know, you should still try to make it sound good. Yeah, of course, signature pick. Yeah. I mean, that's what all the commercials say, right? I mean, if you have Yngwie's signature pick and pickup and pedal, guitar, and everything, then you must sound like him automatically. Yeah, so actually, working on a tremolo would probably be a good idea for me as well, because I can actually feel a bit more warmed up now. So it doesn't hurt, right? But I do think a lot of people, if you have a hard time, you know, however fast you can pick on a single string, if you're not even close to be able to synchronize that with something, you should spend way more time just working on getting that synchronization down. Yeah, I used to be a Jazz 3 fanboy as well. I use these Max Grip, if you can see. But I'm sponsored by Mathis Guitars. There's a dude in Las Vegas, and he makes these awesome picks. And obviously, if he sends me picks every few months, so obviously, if I didn't like these, I wouldn't be using them, right? Because it's like the least expensive thing you can buy for your instrument. But I really like them, so I really appreciate that he wants to send me some pics. That's a nice mom. What's the difference in the Petrucci Jazz 3 compared to the normal ones? Well, that's cool. Hey Jelly, for some reason flow pick makes a lot of chirping on the high. Yeah, I know what you mean. I haven't tried those, but if they're anything like the... I can't even find it now. But you know those, what they're called? Big Stubby? The purple... I think they called it bass picks before, but they also sound very chirpy on the high strings, or like clicky overall. And that's why I like this material Delrin, because it's like a softer plastic. I think, you know, to pick up a random pick here, also from Mathis, but a completely different material, play something. Still works, so it's just a different feel and sound. So for me, I just need a sharp tip on the pick. So that's all I really care about. And also they shouldn't be too flimsy either. I have a one here with a sharp tip, but it's very thin, like, so this is great for, you know, doing the when you want to dig in, if you do stuff like that, which I do pretty much never, but it's still good to have just in case. But if I want to pick fast with this one, it's gonna start moving in a not so optimal way. Sometimes you get lucky and you get away with it. I can't use Yngve's pick, it's just getting up the short. No, I know, but I also think Yngve tends to pick kind of flat on sometimes. Which I don't like at all, but makes it sound great. I think his picks were based on, I might be totally wrong here, but there's something in the back of my mind that says that Andy James showed these to Petrucci, and then he came out with kind of his own version of it. Not that he ripped them off, I mean they're from the same company, but I think Petrucci used to use the normal jazz threes. I think it was Andy James, because it was he had a flow pick. But, you know, again, at the end of the day, it's just whatever you're used to and you like. All right, I gotta go. I actually have a lesson soon, so gotta go get ready for that. Thanks for hanging and trying a bunch of picks. I have to try those flow picks just to do it. Maybe it will be like a life-changing experience. Anyway, see you tomorrow.